You know, sometimes the truth hides in the quietest corners of a family, until it bursts out like a storm you never saw coming. I still remember the scent of freshly brewed coffee that morning, and the cold knot twisting in my stomach. But what happened next? Well, it changed everything forever. It was a chilly autumn day when we all gathered in that old creaking house, the one that had belonged to your great-grandfather for generations. The walls, heavy with dust and memories, seemed to hold their breath as the lawyer cleared his throat. "I present to you the last will and testament," he began, his voice steady but somber. I glanced around the room, faces I'd known all my life, now strangers in the grip of something much darker. My cousin's jaw tightened. Aunt May's eyes were shimmering with tears, but not the kind you'd expect. There was something else there, something buried deep, but that was nothing compared to what was about to unravel. "Now, my dear, if you stay with me till the end, I promise you'll see things no one ever dared to speak aloud. And if this story moves you, well, you might want to tell someone you trust, or maybe leave a little mark down below, so I know you're still here, listening. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't just about money or land. It's about family, betrayal, and secrets that claw their way out of the shadows when you least expect them." And as I sit here, thinking back, I realize that sometimes the hardest battles are fought not with swords or guns, but with whispers and silence. Remember this: not all blood is thicker than water. Before I dive deeper, let me tell you about the man at the heart of this tale, your great-grandfather, whom we all simply called Vojoao. He was a tall, lean man, just shy of 80 when he passed, with eyes as sharp as a hawk's and a voice that could silence a room without raising an inch. A man of few words but many stories. He was the kind who'd hum old folk songs while tending his garden, the scent of earth and pine lingering around him like a familiar cloak. Our story unfolds in that very house, the one perched on the edge of town, where the maple trees painted the sky red and gold every fall. It was late October, the kind of day when the sun's light felt soft but never quite warm enough, and the wooden floorboards creaked under every hesitant step. The air smelled faintly of damp leaves and wood smoke, wrapped in the quiet hum of memories. I remember sitting by the window, watching the wind scatter dry leaves across the porch, sipping the coffee Vojoao always made just right, strong with a hint of cinnamon. "You ever notice," he'd say, "how some things hide where you'd never think to look?" I never imagined then how true those words would become. That morning, as the family gathered inside the dim parlor, the atmosphere was thick with more than just the scent of old paper and polished oak. Aunt May, her hands nervously twisting a handkerchief, leaned in and whispered, "Whatever happens, remember we're family." I nodded, though a shadow of doubt had already settled in my chest. Little did I know, the quiet corners of that house and our family were about to roar louder than any of us could bear. And as the lawyer's voice echoed through the room, I felt the first crack in the facade, one that would soon widen, revealing secrets no one was prepared for. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Just wait, because what comes next will change everything. The lawyer cleared his throat, the sound cutting through the tense silence like a knife. "As you all know, Vojoao left a will," he began, eyes scanning the room before settling on each face. "But there are complications." His voice dropped, heavy with unspoken weight. Aunt May's fingers clenched the handkerchief so tightly they turned white. "Complications," she echoed, voice trembling. "What sort of complications?" The lawyer shifted uneasily, glancing down at the worn papers. "There's a clause, hidden deep within the documents, that names an heir none of us expected." His gaze flickered briefly toward the corner where Uncle Pedro sat, his jaw tightening. I felt the room tilt slightly as the news sunk in. Uncle Pedro's face paled, his usual calm replaced by a flicker of something raw anger. "Betrayal? That's impossible," he spat. "Vojoao never mentioned anyone else. Not to me, not to anyone." Vojoao's words echoed in my mind. "Some things hide where you'd never think to look." Was this the secret he meant? My heart pounded, a cold knot forming in my stomach. Aunt May's eyes darted around, searching for any sign of understanding. "Who is this heir?" she demanded, voice sharper now. The lawyer hesitated, then spoke. "It's a woman, a child from a past he never spoke of. Her name is Elisa. She lives in the neighboring town." Murmurs erupted. I could almost taste the bitterness hanging in the air, mingling with the faint scent of damp leaves that slipped through the cracked window. Uncle Pedro stood abruptly, knocking his chair back with a harsh scrape. "This is a lie, a fabrication to steal what's ours." Vaugeot's gaze, though now only a memory, seemed to pierce through the room, as if warning us about the storm to come. My hands clenched the edge of the armchair, knuckles white. Was this the crack that would shatter us all? The lawyer's voice rose over the growing chaos. "We must find her. Until then, the estate remains frozen." And just like that, the fragile piece that had held our family together began to unravel thread by painful thread. The room fell into a suffocating silence, broken only by the distant ticking of the old grandfather clock. Aunt May's breath hitched, the handkerchief now crushed in her trembling hands. Uncle Pedro's eyes burned with a mixture of disbelief and fury, his fingers drumming a rapid, erratic rhythm on the armrest. "I won't believe it until I see this Elisa with my own eyes," he growled, voice low and fierce. "If she's truly Vaugeot's daughter, then let her come forward. But mark my words, this is a trick, a betrayal." The lawyer nodded, swallowing hard. "We've already begun searching records, speaking with contacts in the neighboring town. But it won't be easy. Elisa has kept a low profile. No one knows much about her." Aunt May's voice cracked as she whispered, "Why would Vaugeot hide her? Why keep such a secret?" Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, a mixture of confusion and sorrow etched on her face. I swallowed the lump in my throat, feeling the weight of Vaugeot's secret pressing down on us all. His words, "Some things hide where you'd never think to look," now echoed like a haunting refrain. Had he left us a puzzle, a test to uncover a truth buried deep? Days passed in a blur of whispered arguments and restless nights. Uncle Pedro's bitterness festered, turning cold and calculating. Aunt May tried to hold the family together, but the cracks were widening, each revelation like a fresh wound. I found myself caught between hope and despair, torn by loyalty and the unknown. Then one evening, a letter arrived, handwritten, unfamiliar. The envelope trembled in my hands as I broke the seal. Inside was a note, simple yet profound. "I know who you are. I've waited a long time to meet you. Please come to the old mill at dusk." The room seemed to hold its breath as I read the words aloud, eyes fixed on me, a fragile hope flickering amidst the storm. But beneath that hope, a shadow loomed, whispering of dangers yet unseen. I looked up, heart pounding. "This is just the beginning," I said softly, "and I don't know where it will lead us." As dusk bled into the sky, I approached the old mill, each step heavy with dread and anticipation. The wooden beams groaned under the weight of years, shadows twisting like restless spirits around the crumbling walls. My hands were clammy, my breath came in shallow gasps. The letter's words echoed relentlessly, "I know who you are." Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, delicate yet resolute. Elisa, her eyes, sharp and unwavering, locked onto mine. "I'm not here to cause pain," she said, voice trembling yet clear. "But the truth must be heard." My heart hammered against my ribcage, a wild drum of hope and fear. Why hide? Why now? She swallowed hard, tears glistening in the waning light. "Because the secret, it's not just mine." Before I could respond, the mill door slammed behind us. A cold, familiar voice cut through the silence. "Enough lies." Uncle Pedro stepped out from the shadows, his face a mask of rage and betrayal. "Elisa," he spat, "you were never meant to come here. You're a threat to everything Vaugeot built." Elisa's gaze didn't waver. "And what about the truth, Pedro? The truth you buried to protect your pride?" The air thickened, suffocating and electric. My pulse raced, hands shaking uncontrollably. Then, with a bitter laugh, Pedro revealed the crushing truth. Elisa isn't Voljo's daughter. She's mine. The world tilted, my breath caught in my throat. The revelation shattered everything we thought we knew, turning allies into enemies, hope into despair. Elisa's face paled, her voice a whisper. No, I only wanted the truth. The old mill seemed to close in around us, the ticking of the grandfather clock now pounding in my ears. This was no longer just a family secret, it was a battlefield, and we were all caught in the crossfire. The heavy silence that followed Pedro's confession felt like the weight of 1,000 years pressing down on the old mill. For a long moment, none of us moved, just the echo of betrayal hanging between us. Then I looked at Elisa, her eyes shimmering with hurt, but also with a fierce determination I had never seen before. It's true, she said softly. The blood that binds us isn't what I thought, but maybe that's not the whole story. Her words stirred something deep inside me. The truth, as harsh as it was, revealed not just fractures, but also the chance for healing. We all had been prisoners of silence, of pride, and of fear. As the night deepened, we talked, really talked, for the first time in years. Pedro's anger softened, not erased, but tempered by the shared pain. Elisa and I found a fragile bridge between us, built not on simple truths, but on the courage to face them. Later, as I stood outside the mill under a sky now dotted with stars, I thought of Voljo. His legacy wasn't just the mill or the land, it was the family, flawed and fractured, yes, but still a family. Sebe mu nito. Sometimes the truth we fear most is the very light that can lead us home. Voljo always believed that honesty, even when it hurts, is the foundation of trust. Without it, pride builds walls that no one can climb. Tonight I learned that secrets, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of surfacing. But it's what we do with those truths, the forgiveness we offer, the bonds we rebuild, that defines who we are. So remember, love is not about perfect stories or flawless pasts. It's about embracing the messiness of life with open hearts and brave souls. And in that courage, we find peace. And so mu nito, remember this, a family's true strength lies not in unbroken ties, but in the courage to mend the broken ones. May you carry this wisdom with you, letting honesty and forgiveness be the legacy you pass on. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. Tell me, what truths have you faced that brought you closer to those you love? Your story matters here, just as much as ours. Atea Proxima, with love and light.